फाइनलाइज करके अनाउंस करेंगे.
That was Ramesh Chennithala there. Let me go to Sahil Joshi, who's now joining us from Mumbai. Sahil, how serious is this rift between Uddhav Thackeray and the Congress? Can it result in a breakdown of ties, or do you believe it will be sorted out after tomorrow's meeting?
Both the parties have no other option than to sort out their differences and fight this election united and together, because that time has passed that to decide whether to contest on their own. Because till now, Mahavikas Aghadi has been planning to contest this election together. They have been planning to the campaign and everything together. So right now, it is only merely on the basis of the seat differences to go on the to face Mahayuti all alone is going to be really difficult, and that realization is there in both the parties at this point of time. But yes, I mean there are pressure tactics which are being played behind the curtain. The way Shiv Sena asked its the contact leaders, the Samparka Pramukhs, to gauge the situation in various districts to understand whether if they tomorrow decide to fight on their own, is it going to be sufficient? At the same time, the Congress also held back all the discussions with Shiv Sena, UBT and Sharad Pawar and called all the leaders to Delhi. And now, as Rahul was pointing it out and Ramesh Chennithala was speaking to the media, it's Balasaheb Thorat, the Congress Legislative Party leader, has been given the responsibility to speak to Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray separately before the Mahavikas Aghadi discussion begins tomorrow in the afternoon at around 2:30. And then, iron out the differences based on certain seats. The party, Congress High Command is trying to impress upon Uddhav Thackeray that the number won't matter post-election. Finally he's the leader, and somewhere the Shiv Sena is feared that the drop down they are going to get in the areas like Thane or in Konkan should be compensated in Vidarbha or in Marathwada, where the Mahavikas Aghadi thinks that their performance will be better than 2019. So that is what exactly is the problem. I think the problem right now, the problem lies in 20 odd seats between the Congress and Shiv Sena, as well as the NCP and Congress as well. So that is the reason why Balasaheb Thorat will meet Sharad Pawar as well as Uddhav Thackeray.
Right.
There will be some certain seat exchanges between Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray as well. That's what we will have to wait and see what happens tomorrow.
Okay, so 3 p.m. tomorrow will be the next meeting. Remember, Maharashtra is becoming, some call it the Maha mess, because clearly seat sharing is a huge challenge when you have three partners on each side. Rahul Gautam and Sahil Joshi joining us with the very latest on what's happening there. Appreciate you joining us. Let's turn from there to the big story of the day. And it came from the possibility now of a big India-China thaw in Ladakh after a 4-year standoff. India and China will resume patrolling along the line of actual control and disengagement at the two remaining friction points, Depsang and Depchong. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said India and China will return to their pre-2020 status quo along the border. This breakthrough comes ahead of the BRICS Summit in Russia, where Chinese President Xi may well meet Prime Minister Modi. Listen in to what happened.
More than 4 years after Chinese troops attacked Indian forces in the Galwan Valley, leading to troop mobilization on both sides, finally a breakthrough. India on Monday announced an agreement on patrolling along the line of actual control.
Now, as a result of the discussions that have taken place over the last several weeks, an agreement has been arrived at on patrolling arrangements along the line of actual control in the India-China border areas. And this is leading to disengagement and eventually a resolution of the issues that had arisen in these areas in 2020.
While India's Foreign Secretary did not mention Demchok and Depsang, the two flashpoints in Ladakh, where talks had failed to yield results so far, an agreement on patrolling would mean these areas are closer to disengagement. Elaborating the point, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who was speaking at an event in Delhi, said, "To my knowledge, the understanding is that we will be able to resume the patrolling that we were doing in 2020. The announcement comes a day before the BRICS Summit kicks off in Russia.
We're just asked to go for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's crucial visit here to Kazan, Russia for the 16th BRICS Summit. A major announcement by the Ministry of External Affairs, with Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri announcing disengagement, an agreement to disengage at the line of actual control at the remaining friction points. Now, this effectively paves the way for a bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping.
20 Indian soldiers and an unspecified number of Chinese soldiers had died in the 2020 clashes in Galwan, Ladakh that did not involve the use of firearms. Since then, Indian and Chinese forces faced off at multiple points along the nearly 3,500-kilometer long border between the two countries. India and China also mobilized thousands of troops who've been stationed on the border till now. With Gaurav Savant, Bureau Report, India Today.
So what does this patrolling agreement mean? Will there be total disengagement now and a return to the pre-2020 status in Ladakh and Depsang and Demchok? Is the state now set? Is the stage set now for a Modi-Xi meet in Russia? Can India really trust China? Joining me now, special guest Brahma Chelani, Strategic Affairs expert, former advisor to India's National Security Council. Also with us, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, former Indian Consul General to Karachi. Lieutenant General Atta Hasnain is joining us. And Andrew K.P. Lewing, Chinese strategist and analyst. Appreciate all of you joining us on the show today. Let me come to you, Brahma, today, because you've been very skeptical in the past about what China affirms on paper and what happens in practice. Do you see this as a major breakthrough, this promise of a return to a pre-2020 situation?
There has been no announcement from China so far. The announcement has come only from India, but no details have been released. The military standoff between the two countries is now in its 5th year. To end that standoff, 3 things are required, 3 steps: disengagement, de-escalation, and de-induction of rival forces. Today, what has been announced by the Indian side only relates to the first step, disengagement of rival forces. The second and third steps would be very difficult because China has created permanent new warfare-related infrastructure along the India frontier. So a return to status quo ante, both in terms of how the border looked before April 2020 or how the territorial control existed along the Ladakh frontier before April 2020, when China made its land grabs on Indian territory, that status quo ante is not coming back. So we should be very clear on one thing. While it's a welcome step toward diffusing some tensions and beginning the process of engagement, beginning the process of dialogue with China, we should not see this as a breakthrough, and we should not read this as a return to status quo ante. Status quo ante will not come.
I'll come to you more specifically as to why you believe status quo ante will not come and what that means. But before that, just to get a perspective from our guest from China, Andrew K.P. Lewing, you heard Brahma Chelani saying, why haven't the Chinese responded? India has made an official statement. Why haven't we seen, can we expect a similar statement from the Chinese in the next 24 hours that there is an agreement now on disengagement?
I think it's inevitable that both leaders will meet each other at this upcoming BRICS Summit. But let's not forget that both leaders make it quite clear that they wanted to de-escalate the situation months and before this moment. I mean, the direction to de-escalate actually came about months ago, and also this current situation is significant because it comes right on the eve of a big BRICS summit in Russia. Right. And of course, the rise of the Global South is seen by both leaders as a very important dynamics that define the coming decades. And I think that both leaders will see that maintaining a less confrontational relationship between the two countries would be good on both sides. Now, as far as India is concerned, it also is seeing that continuing this needless confrontation is not going to end up resulting in any benefits on either side. So I think that this is significant. Now, on the other hand,
let me stop you for a moment, because let me stop you for a moment. I've got Rajiv Dogra to respond to what you just said, that you, in a way, the timing is linked to what is likely to happen at BRICS, the possible shake hands between the two leaders. We don't know whether there could be a bilateral on the sidelines. But Mr. Dogra, do you see all of this in a calendar, because India and China both have recognized that this is these kind of hostile face-to-face confrontation cannot continue for longer? Do you see that photo op taking place, or do you see something warmer between the two leaders at the BRICS Summit?
Well, firstly, both India and China realize that it is costing them a lot, both in terms of manpower being stationed there, logistics, and the expenditure. And there is always a risk that a little spark, Galwan type, can escalate into a situation which is undesirable. So that is point number one. The second point is that summits are occasions to nudge the officials on both sides to do something which the summit leaders can shake hands on. So let's assume that this is one of those occasions when officials have worked hard to ensure that there's a package on which both sides can shake hands and smile and give a signal to the world. The signal to the world is more important, because right. China at this time is engaged in its oceanic boundaries, South China Sea, where it has problems with Philippines and others, and Taiwan, where it is concentrating its aircraft and ships and so on. So strategically, at the moment, China sees that portion as the one that it should get whatever it wishes to.
But the question,
far as India is concerned,
but the question, I'll again stop you for a moment, because you're raising points with Atta Hasnain. You want to respond that the diplomats seem to see it as a breakthrough moment from a military perspective. As Brahma Chelani pointed out, restoring status quo ante not so easy. The Chinese have pushed forward at different points. Do you see them fully disengaging into a pre-2020 situation? Is the military going to be fully on board on whatever's been decided diplomatically?
Well, Rajdeep, first of all, 4th May 2020 is the date which is being spoken of in terms of status quo ante. And I agree with the Brahma Chelani sahab that a lot has happened in the last 4.5 years in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of deployment and things like that. To roll back that entire thing overnight without a proper detailed agreement may not be possible. I think this is more an opportunity which is being created. Primarily as a baby step, essentially to create the right environment, some kind of overcoming a little bit of the trust deficit, to allow the two leaders, India and China, to meet at Kazan and hopefully to be able to take it beyond this. This is also, of course, in the context of the overall international environment, where it seems as if there are some perceptions that China and India need to come together. There is more convergence in our interest at the moment, and this is the opportune moment to actually take advantage of that.
The concern, of course, Brahma Chelani, you have is, correct me if I'm wrong, that the infrastructure that the Chinese have put in place over the last 5 years will not be dismantled. Am I correct?
It has become a hot border. It will remain a hot border. But there are other larger issues. The standoff began because of Chinese encroachments in eastern Ladakh. Those encroachments triggered a robust Indian military response. Xi Jinping thought that he could present those land grabs as a fait accompli to India. But India responded by deploying large numbers of troops and weapons along the frontier, more than matching China's deployments. and weapons along the frontier, more than matching China's deployments. We created some buffer zones. Those buffer zones have come up largely on Indian territory. No details were released, largely because of the fact that these three major buffer zones were created largely on areas that Indian troops had patrolled traditionally. Now, no details have been released about this so-called new patrolling arrangement. The irony is this: the root of the present border crisis lies in China's violation of formal agreements on border management, including patrolling. So now we have a new arrangement on patrolling, which is not a formal agreement, whose details have not been released, and we expect the Chinese side to honor this informal understanding. So I am trying to add a note of caution. The media is hyping this as a breakthrough. The Chinese have yet to release their statement on this understanding. And we have to recognize that China is not going to roll back its land grabs in Devsang and Demchok. What this new patrolling arrangement is, only time will tell, because details creep out slowly, as they did in the case of the buffer zone arrangements.
You're striking a note of caution. Rajiv Dogra, I had interrupted you when you said, what does India get out of this? Where does India stand? Are we trusting the China? Is this about getting the optics right ahead of BRICS? Or is there something more substantive? There was a period when Xi and Mr. Modi seemed to share a warm relationship. They were on a swing in Ahmedabad. They went to Mahabalipuram together. Do you see a return to that? Can India really treat this as business as usual?
No, there's not going to be any India-China bye-bye again. There's been a lot of mistrust that has been created since 1962, and that mistrust still lingers. So I don't think India is going to forget that you have to verify and not trust. That is going to be the mantra.
No, because I'm playing pictures of Xi and Modi together in Mahabalipuram, earlier in Ahmedabad. Do you see that bonhomie returning, or that can't return in your view?
You see, in international relations, the bonhomie is always there. They're not going to indulge in a fist fight. They will always be smiling. There may be moments when they convey some through facial expressions, but they are leaders of two important countries. If they scowl at each other, what is the result? What is the message to the two people of India and China? So that I hope will not happen. But the point here is that we should not start with, critiquing every move of India as far as China is concerned. I would accept that on Pakistan, but we have to give the possibility of an agreement and some kind of stability along the LSE a chance. I agree entirely with Brahmachalani that yes, as far as the present thing is concerned, the disengagement has not worked to our advantage according to the reports, because a buffer zone created is on our territory. Whether it is a replication of that in the arrangement announced today, we have to wait and see.
So should we be pressing the pause button, Atta Hasnain? From a military perspective, should we press the pause button before, we say all issues sorted out, given that there's been a land grab in Depsang, given that there was a land grab in Demchok, and we don't know the exact situation still on the ground?
See, Rajdeep, escalation happens in a matter of seconds. And de-escalation invariably takes years. So, when you're looking at de-escalation here, I think it's a question of really putting the pause button, and it will move very, very incrementally. One shouldn't look at it as if one fine day there's an announcement and everything is hunky-dory and resolved. It's not going to happen that way. We all understand it. We all know how international relations work. So, an important event is taking place in Kazan. I think we are preparing ourselves for that. We are preparing the ground to ensure that our Prime Minister and the President of China meet out there. There is some positivity in the backdrop behind it. That is about all. The details of this will have to be worked out much more in detail subsequently if this have to be made to work out.
Mr. Lewing, are there pressures that Xi is also under? We are looking at it from an Indian perspective, but what about China? Is China also feeling the heat at the moment because you find yourself facing conflicts on multiple fronts?
So is that the question for me?
Yes, sir. What are the pressures that Xi is operating under?
Thank you. Well, I don't think that China looks at it that way. I think that China's approach to this breakthrough within quotation marks is on much bigger picture, aside from the border disputes between China and India, which have lasted for decades. I think that this slight breakthrough on patrolling is only a milestone, but significant milestone in de-escalation. It is not going to resolve the border disputes. It's not going to define the line of actual control accurately, but it does represent a momentum towards building a more constructive relationship between the two countries. As I said, I mean, the relationship between China and India is only a part of the big game facing both countries in terms of the rise of the global south, of which the BRICS Summit, of course, a very important platform. And I think that both leaders would like to be seen to have a more elbow room to play in leading the momentum of the global south, which is defining, in many ways, the global order.
You speak of the.
I think that we should look at the situation in this context.
You speak of the global south, given, of course, what happened when the G20 summit was there. President Xi didn't come for that. Do you get a sense, though, Brahma Chelani, that we just can't trust the Chinese? We don't know what they'll do next. A quick answer.
The real problem, Rajdeep, is the expansionist impulse of the Chinese Communist Party. So it's not just India. Take any neighbor of China. It cannot trust China simply because of Chinese expansionism. But as far as India's foreign policy is concerned, India pursues an independent approach to international affairs in which hedging and balancing are key elements. So given the perception that Modi's foreign policy has a distinct pro-Western tilt, balancing that perception has become important. So improving relations with China works to India's advantage, but India has to improve relations with China on terms that are mutually beneficial. It cannot be one-sided. Remember what happened in 2017, Doklam? Xi Jinping and Modi kept meeting. They met 18 times over 5 years. Those meetings did not help dissuade China from encroaching on territories in East Ladakh. So one more meeting now on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Kazan will not change the trajectory of China-India relations. But for India, balancing remains important.
Okay. I think that's interestingly put. Clearly, the jury is out whether this disengagement will result in a major breakthrough on the border, on the LAC. That will be tested by Chinese intent over the next few months. But I appreciate my guest joining us on the big story of the day. I want to turn from the external security challenge to the internal security one, because terror has bled Jammu and Kashmir once again this weekend, barely days after a new government was sworn in Srinagar. On Sunday, 7 people, who included 6 migrant workers and a doctor, were killed after terrorists opened fire at a construction site. Now the NIA is likely to take over the probe, and sources say the Lashkar-e-Toiba's offshoot, TRF, is responsible for this targeted attack. Take a look.
I, Omar Abdullah, do swear in the name of God.
Days after a new government took oath in Jammu and Kashmir, and Foreign Minister Jaishankar's Islamabad visit that saw a thaw in the frosty Indo-Pak ties, comes a brutal terror attack in Ganderbal district that left 7 people dead. The casualties of the firing at a construction site on Sunday include 6 migrant workers and a Kashmiri doctor.
This is the construction site, and then on the left side, I'll tell Tariq to show you, on the left side is the tunnel. Now this is a tunnel project that took at least 10 years to complete, and these workers were part of the making. We are being told that in the next 10-15 days there would have been an event and this tunnel would have been inaugurated, but before that this incident has happened.
The deceased doctor and the workers were part of the construction team working on the Z-More tunnel, which connects Gagangir to Sona Marg. The migrant workers hailed from Punjab, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh.
आतंकवादी बहुत गंदे मेरे पापा को मार दिया।
अब मैं क्या करूं? अब मैं अपने आप को संभालूं, अपने फैमिली मेंबर्स को संभालूं, मैं भी इन बच्चों जैसा हूं।
The Resistance Front, an offshoot of the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, has claimed responsibility for the Ganderbal attack. Sources close to the investigation reveal that the terror group carried out recce of the construction site over the last 1 month. CM Omar Abdullah strongly condemned the attack on the innocent people, which came just 4 days after he was sworn in.
इस हमले की जितनी निंदा की जाए, जितना इसके खिलाफ बोला जाए कम है। बेगुनाहों के खिलाफ इस तरह तशद्दुद का इस्तेमाल ये कहां से जायज़ है?
National Conference Chief Farooq Abdullah accused Pakistan of stoking trouble in the valley.
अब बताइए मुझे, इन दरिंदों को मिलेगा क्या? क्या वो समझते हैं इससे यहाँ पाकिस्तान बनेगा? मैं पाकिस्तान के हुक्मरानों से ये कहना चाहता हूँ, अगर वो सचमुच हिंदुस्तान से दोस्ती चाहते हैं तो फिर ये बंद कीजिए। कश्मीर पाकिस्तान नहीं बनेगा, नहीं बनेगा, नहीं बनेगा।
The Ganderbal attack comes after terrorists killed a migrant worker from Bihar in Shopian district on October 18th. Locals found the worker's bullet-riddled body in the Vaduna area of Zainapura in South Kashmir. With Ashrafani and Mir Farid in Kashmir, Bureau Report, India Today.
Deeply troubling to see that happening once again near Srinagar. Let's turn to our other big story. Civil Aviation Minister K. Raman Naidu today announced that the government is planning to amend the laws to address the growing number of bomb threats targeting airlines. This includes placing the culprits responsible for such threats on a no-fly list. In the past week alone, nearly 125 flights operated by Indian Airlines have received bomb threats, most of which turned out to be hoaxes. Take a look.
Over 125 bomb threats in 1 week. Hoax calls plague Indian Airlines. The Union Civil Aviation Ministry is cracking the whip as fake threats impact flights from the country. The government says perpetrators of hoax bomb threats will be put on a no-fly list. Making such threats will soon be treated as a cognizable offence. The government is also considering amendments to the airline safety laws.
We are trying to make an amendment. Our legal team has worked very thoroughly on this, and we are coming up with an amendment, and then we are taking in, because this has to be a legal change in the act, we need a consultation from other stakeholders, other ministries also. So we are in that process right now, but we are definitely pushing forward to bring a change in the Suwaska Act also, so that it addresses for these kind of offences which happen when the flight is on ground, so that we can take strict action on them, we can make it cognizable offence. While we are trying to efficiently tackle this situation through the threats we are receiving, we are also not compromising on the safety and security. This also I want to make it a very priority point, because you might feel that there are these threats happening, but we can't, even though there are hoax threats, we can't take the situation non-seriously. Everything is important for us. Now the life of a passenger is important, the security situation is important, so the protocol is important for us. So we have enhanced the security also.
Over 125 flights have received hoax bomb threats in the last 1 week. Bomb threat assessment teams have been deployed at all airports in India. Sources say that around 90% threats came from abroad, while 10% of the calls were made from India. The Union Home Ministry's cyber wing, CERT-IN, is keeping a close eye on the bomb threats. Calls made using virtual private network and IP addresses are being probed. A user on social media website X was booked for claiming there is a bomb threat to Lucknow-Dammam flight last week. Multiple Indigo flights received bomb threats on Sunday. An account on X claimed that 12 bombers were on 6 Indigo planes that received the bomb threats. Airport authorities are on alert. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's take a break at this point. When we return, we are turning to one of our exclusive newsmakers tonight. Sakshi Malik has come out with a new book, Witness, to bear her story on how she was harassed by Brij Bhushan Saran Singh. He speaks on it when we return. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
Pure Wash Electronic Seat by Kohler. Wish everything was this intelligent.
Ho ja rangila re with Motorola's incredible range of smartphones.
Hello, Moto.
Sveda by Kohler. Wish everything cared for your skin.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Colors by Kohler makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते, बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की। ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है। मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।
Ho ja rangila re with Motorola's incredible range of smartphones.
Hello, Moto.
Colors by Kohler makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
Okay, let's turn to our newsmaker tonight. Olympic medalist and wrestling champion Sakshi Malik has now broken her silence on exactly what happened when she claims that she was molested by the then Wrestling Federation of India chief and former BJP MP Brij Bhushan Saran Singh. Sakshi has claimed that this happened when she was a junior athlete in 2012. She also denied that the wrestler protests were dictated by the Congress party, instead revealing that it was a BJP leader and wrestler Babita Phogat who had initiated the protests because she wanted to take over the Wrestling Federation. All this and more is in a new book that Sakshi Malik has written, Witness. Here are excerpts from an exclusive interview with Sakshi Malik. Take a look. In this book, Sakshi Malik writes about an incident in 2012, Asian Junior Championship in Almaty, where she claims Brijbhushan Saran Singh, former BJP MP and Wrestling Federation chief, molested her. तो आप उस बात पर बिल्कुल अमल है?
बिल्कुल सर।
कि वो घटना हुई थी, उन्होंने आपको अपने कमरे में लाया था and he molested you.
Yes. जी।
सवाल ये उठता है कि आपने जैसे किताब में लिखा है, ये घटना 2012 में होती है. In Almaty at Asian Junior Championship, you are molested. लेकिन only in 2023 आप ये बात दुनिया के सामने रखते हैं. पहले तो प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं and then you go to court and testify. 11 साल आप चुप क्यों रही?
बिल्कुल सर, 2012 में एशियन चैम्पियनशिप में मेरे साथ घटना हुई और उसके बाद जो है ये 11 साल जो है वो निकालने बहुत मुश्किल थे. लेकिन मैं आपको पूरी स्टोरी बताती हूँ. जैसे जब 2010-11 में जब बृजभूषण आए थे तो उसके कुछ महीने से ही पता चलना शुरू हो गया था सीनियर्स से, लड़कियों से कि ये हैरेसमेंट करता है या इंटेंशन अच्छी नहीं है. तो फिर वो मन में फियर हो गया था. साल इतने इसलिए लगे सर क्योंकि एक तो बहुत पावरफुल आदमी है और ऊपर से हम सुनते थे, आ रहे थे कि भाई एमपी है और जो बेटे के साथ उसका इंसिडेंट हुआ है या क्रिमिनल भी है, इतने सारे केसेस भी हैं. तो मतलब हमेशा से यूँ एक डर था कि नहीं, अगर आवाज़ उठाई तो मेरा रेसलिंग करियर ख़त्म कर देंगे और कर भी देते सर.
नहीं, मैं इसलिए ये सवाल साक्षी जी पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि कई जो खास करके बृजभूषण शरण सिंह के समर्थक है वो कहते हैं ये पूरा राजनीति से प्रेरित था. ये पहलवान जो विमेन रेसलर्स है इनको कांग्रेस ने आगे किया मुझे बदनाम करने के लिए, पूरा पॉलिटिक्स था. दिस वाज पॉलिटिक्स.
नहीं, इसके बारे में बताती हूँ. ये जो है अगर ये कांग्रेस पार्टी की तरफ से अगर ये प्रोटेस्ट होता तो मैं आपको बता दूँ बीजेपी के 2 हरियाणा के लीडर्स ने हमको प्रोटेस्ट की परमिशन दिलवाई थी. बबीता फोगाट एंड तीरथ राणा दोनों बीजेपी के लीडर्स हैं. बबीता ने तो चुनाव भी लड़ा था हरियाणा से एमएलए का, तो उसने अप्रोच किया था क्योंकि उसके मन में लालच था कि बृजभूषण की जगह मैं बैठ जाऊं.
आप एक बड़ी बात कह रही है जो किताब में भी है, बबीता फोगाट.
बिल्कुल सर, ये सच्चाई है.
Wrestler and BJP leader was the one who encouraged you to start the protest.
Yes.
No Congress leader, but Babita Fogat encouraged you.
Yes, उसने मीटिंग बुलाई, उसने सारे रेसलर्स को बुलाया. ये नहीं है कि हम उसके इन्फ्लुएंस से हुए, ठीक है उसने बुलाया, लेकिन फेडरेशन में जो होता था ये सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट का ये तो होता ही था. लेकिन हमें यूँ था कि ठीक है अगर बबीता बनेगी या क्योंकि उसके मन में था ये, हमें भी लगा कि चलो बेटर तो होगा, कोई वुमेन एंट्री करेगी, अच्छी स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन भी है, समझे बीगी. लेकिन हमें नहीं पता था कि वो इतना बड़ा गेम कर जाएगी हमारे साथ. हमें तो यूँ था कि हमारे साथ प्रोटेस्ट में बैठेगी और एज अ रेसलर आवाज़ उठाएगी कि मेरे दौरान भी ये सारी चीज़ें हुई थी, जब मैं रेसलर थी तो मेरे दौरान भी ये सारी चीज़ें मेरे को सुनने में दिखने में मिलती थी. तो सबसे पहला ये पॉइंट तो यहीं ख़त्म हो गया कि कांग्रेस से इन्फ्लुएंस था ये प्रोटेस्ट, क्योंकि कांग्रेस से होता तो फिर कोई और ही इसके पीछे होता प्रोटेस्ट के. दूसरा और भी बहुत बृजभूषण ने एलिगेशंस लगाए हैं लाइक कि ये ख़त्म हो चुके हैं, ये तो हरियाणा वर्सेस यूपी कर रहे हैं, तो बहुत सारे. लेकिन एक तो विनेश ने प्रूव कर दिया, ओलंपिक्स तक गई, ख़त्म होती तो ओलंपिक्स तक कौन जाने देता उसको. ट्रायल्स में जीती, नेशनल चैंपियन बनी, एशिया में जाके उसने ओलंपिक्स के लिए क्वालिफाई किया, फिर वो ओलंपिक्स में गई, ओलंपिक्स में उसने ऐसी लड़की को हराया जो आज तक अनबीटेबल थी. तो ये तो भूल ही जाओ कि हम लोग ख़त्म हो चुके थे, इसलिए हमने प्रोटेस्ट किया.
आप लोगों ने प्रोटेस्ट किया क्योंकि आपको लगा कि एक मौका है रेसलिंग फेडरेशन चीफ को बदलने का.
बिल्कुल सर, हमने बबीता की बात को एग्री किया. हाँ, बहुत अच्छी बात है और हम इस चीज़ के खिलाफ आवाज़ उठाना भी चाहते हैं. और एक चीज़ और है, जैसे हम आके तुरंत प्रोटेस्ट पे नहीं बैठे थे कि आगे और सिर्फ प्रोटेस्ट कर लिया, सोची समझी साजिश थी, इस पार्टी ने इन्फ्लुएंस कर दिया, ये हमारे मन में था. नहीं, विनेश ने एचएम सर को जाके अपनी बात बताई थी.
होम मिनिस्टर अमित शाह को बात बताई थी.
हाँ, एचएम सर को और बजरंग और विनेश मिले थे, तो विनेश ने चीज़ मेंशन भी की होगी, विनेश ने की थी, ये विनेश की सारी बातें यहाँ प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस उठा के देख ली 21 दिसंबर 2023 की। तो विनेश ने बताया था कि मैं पहले जाके प्रॉब्लम बता चुकी थी कि फेडरेशन में ऐसी ऐसी प्रॉब्लम्स है, सर हमारी हेल्प कीजिए। तो सर ने बोला ठीक है हम हेल्प करते हैं, लेकिन शायद कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आया होगा। तो विनेश ने बताया कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आया मेरे पास कि हम फेडरेशन को ठीक करने वाले हैं। इसीलिए फिर हमने सोचा कि एक यही रास्ता है, प्रोटेस्ट का रास्ता है, जो हमारी आवाज़ को पूरे देश में पहुंचा सकता है और हमारी फेडरेशन को क्लीन कर सकता है।
मैंने ये देखा है कि इस किताब में भी लिखा है कई लोगों ने आपको कई आश्वासन दिए लेकिन लेट डाउन किया। आप कई नाम लेती हैं, उसमें स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर अनुराग ठाकुर, उन्होंने भी आपको कई प्रॉमिसेस किए, और मैरी कॉम जो आपके लिए आइडल आप कहती हैं,
बिल्कुल सर,
पीटी उषा जो इंडियन ओलंपिक एसोसिएशन की चीफ थी, अमित शाह जो देश के गृह मंत्री है, सबने आपको प्रॉमिस किया, आश्वासन किया, नहीं नहीं आपकी बात हम सुनेंगे, कुछ करेंगे। किसी ने कुछ नहीं किया। डिड यू फील लेट डाउन कि इतने लोगों ने आपको आश्वासन दिया बट यू फेल्ट लेट डाउन?
सबसे पहली बात तो मैं बताना चाहूँगी सर, कोई समझे ना समझे, लेकिन एक फीमेल एथलीट का दर्द फीमेल एथलीट ईजिली समझ सकती है। जब एड ऑफ कमेटी बनाई गई, एड ऑफ कमेटी में जब लड़कियां बयान दे रही थी और जब मैं बोल रही थी, तो मैरी कॉम जी पूरा हमारे सपोर्ट में थी, पूरा भावुक थी कि ओ माय गॉड मैं पूरी हेल्प करूंगी, आपके साथ ऐसा हुआ, मेरे साथ भी, मेरी भी सिमिलर सी स्टोरी है। ये मैं उनके वर्ड्स बता रही हूँ सर। और जो एक फीमेल जज थी वहाँ बीच में थी एड ऑफ कमेटी के, और एक दो और कमेटी के मेंबर्स थे वो रोए हैं, छोटी छोटी बच्चियों की स्टोरी सुन के रोए हैं कि आप चिंता मत करो, क्योंकि हमारे पास तो वही चाह रहा था कि एड ऑफ कमेटी बना दी, वहाँ जाके लड़कियाँ, हम सब ने वहाँ जाके अपनी स्टोरीज़ बताई, बयान दिए, और वो सब इमोशनल हो गए, और हमें वहाँ से भी बहुत अच्छा ऐसे सेटिस्फैक्ट्री जवाब मिला कि सब कुछ नीट एंड क्लीन हो जाएगा, आप रो मत, और सब भावुक थे वहाँ पे। लेकिन नतीजा क्या मिलता है, 1 महीना 2 महीना 3 महीना, कुछ भी नहीं, मजबूरन दोबारा प्रोटेस्ट करना पड़ा। पहले प्रोटेस्ट पे तो बबीता ने अपने लालच के लिए बिठा दिया, खुद बैठी नहीं। अगर पहलवान थी, सब कुछ पता था, सब कुछ देखा हुआ था, ब्रिजभूषण के बारे में सब पता था, तो क्यों नहीं बैठी हमारे साथ प्रोटेस्ट पे, हमारे साथ बैठ के आवाज़ उठाती। लेकिन नहीं, बैक ऑफ द स्टेज उसको रूल करना था पूरा प्रोटेस्ट, और नतीजा क्या निकला, हमारा यूज हुआ सिर्फ।
You were used. You claim that
पहले प्रोटेस्ट में हम यूज्ड थे।
आपका इस्तेमाल किया गया, और आखिर में वो सीन है जब आपको रास्ते पे ड्रैग कर देते हैं, पुलिस वहां से निकालते हैं, तब कभी क्या मन में गुजर रहा था कि आप ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट है, पुलिस आपको उस तरह से खींच कर लेकर जा रही है?
मैं तो सर थोड़ा सा इस तरीके की लड़की हूँ, मैं थोड़ा आर्ग्यूमेंट करने में भी डरती हूँ, मैं मतलब एग्रेसिव नहीं हूँ, मैं किसी से झगड़ा नहीं करती या जो भी है। तो सडन वो सारी चीज़ें हुई ना। हाँ, प्रोटेस्ट पे खूब मन में मोटिवेशन था, खूब जोश था कि नहीं बहुत अच्छी लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं हम, एक गलत के खिलाफ आवाज़ लड़ रहे हैं हम, तो पूरा मन में पूरा वो था। लेकिन वो जिस दिन हुआ ना, उस दिन तो मतलब अनबिलीवेबल था कि एक ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट, मैं नहीं, बजरंग, विनेश और संगीता, सत्यव्रत, सबको कितनी बुरी तरीके से उन्होंने मतलब घसीट के बसों में डाला, जबकि हम कोई किसी को मार नहीं रहे थे, हम कोई वायलेंस नहीं कर रहे थे, हम तो सिर्फ ये कह रहे थे कि हम चुपचाप वॉक करेंगे। और
गुस्सा था, दुख था, क्या था उस समय जब आपको ड्रैग आउट किया गया था, आपके मन में क्या चल रहा था?
ज्यादा था, गुस्सा भी था, आप मिक्स मान लो। दुख इतना था कि मतलब इतना भी हो सकता है, मतलब कि मतलब लिटरली कैसे घसीटा जा रहा है। उस दिन की अगर आप मेरी हालत देख ले तो यहाँ से स्क्रैचेस, क्योंकि पुलिस वाली जो पुलिस कांस्टेबल्स थी वो इतनी बुरी तरीके से हमें खींच रही थी।
Reminder, you can watch the full interview with Sakshi Malik tonight at 10:30 p.m. and the extended interview on our YouTube sites. Let's turn to our good news today's story as we end the show. It comes from Ahmedabad, where a police sniffer dog named Penny has been receiving applause for helping the local police detect a theft of over ₹1 crore. Now you know why dogs are all our best friends. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri. Then Namaskar. Take a look at our good news today's story.
Meet Penny, a sniffer dog in the Gujarat police that helped crack a theft of 1 crore 7 lakh rupees that took place near Ahmedabad. The crime took place in Saragwada village. Uddhav Singh Solanki had kept the money he received as advance for the sale of 12 acres of family land in a drum at his house. The theft took place on the night of October 12th when Solanki had gone to another village.
इसकी कोई जानकारी नहीं विक्रम ने बुझो बे खबर रात पड़े लेकिन मारे दम तोड़े ये रुपया 1,07,80,000 लेके आके चला गया.
A bag left at the crime scene proved to be the turning point in the police investigation. Penny caught the scent of the suspects and guided the police to within 50 meters of the accused house.
वो बैग को हमारा जो ट्रैकर डॉग है, पेनी करके डॉग है हमारा, वो ट्रैकर डॉग के थ्रू जो है हमने उससे ये पता लग गया कि जो है आरोपी जो है वो किस डायरेक्शन में भागा है. तो इतना बड़ा अमाउंट लेके वहाँ पे हमें ये रफली ये आइडिया था कि जो है ये गांव में से किसी ने किया.
The police recovered the money from the two accused. Thanks to Penny, Solanki can now use the money to buy land in the neighboring village.
पाकिस्तान के हुक्मरानों से ये कहना चाहता हूँ, अगर वो सचमुच हिंदुस्तान से दोस्ती चाहते हैं तो फिर ये बंद कीजिए. कश्मीर पाकिस्तान नहीं बनेगा, नहीं बनेगा, नहीं बनेगा.
The Ganderbal attack comes after terrorists killed a migrant worker from Bihar in Shopian district on October 18th. Locals found the worker's bullet-riddled body in the Vaduna area of Zainapura in South Kashmir. With Ashrafani and Mir Farid in Kashmir, Bureau Report, India Today.
Deeply troubling to see that happening once again near Srinagar. Let's turn to our other big story. Civil Aviation Minister Raman Naidu today announced that the government is planning to amend the laws to address the growing number of bomb threats targeting airlines. This includes placing the culprits responsible for such threats on a no-fly list. In the past week alone, nearly 125 flights operated by Indian Airlines have received bomb threats, most of which turned out to be hoaxes. Take a look.
Over 125 bomb threats in 1 week. Hoax calls plague Indian Airlines. The Union Civil Aviation Ministry is cracking the whip as fake threats impact flights from the country. The government says perpetrators of hoax bomb threats will be put on a no-fly list. Making such threats will soon be treated as a cognizable offence. The government is also considering amendments to the airline safety laws.
We are trying to make an amendment. Our legal team has worked very thoroughly on this, and we are coming up with an amendment, and then we are taking in, because this has to be a legal change in the act, we need consultation from other stakeholders, other ministries also. So we are in that process right now, but we are definitely pushing forward to bring a change in the Suwaska Act also, so that it addresses for these kind of offences which happen when the flight is on ground, so that we can take strict action on them, we can make it cognizable offence. While we are trying to efficiently tackle this situation through the threats we are receiving, we are also not compromising on the safety and security. This also I want to make it a very priority point, because you might feel that there are these threats happening, but we can't, even though there are hoax threats, we can't take the situation non-seriously. Everything is important for us. Now the life of a passenger is important, the security situation is important, so the protocol is important for us. So we have enhanced the security also.
Over 125 flights have received hoax bomb threats in the last 1 week. Bomb threat assessment teams have been deployed at all airports in India. Sources say that around 90% threats came from abroad, while 10% of the calls were made from India. The Union Home Ministry's cyber wing, CERT-IN, is keeping a close eye on the bomb threats. Calls made using virtual private network and IP addresses are being probed. A user on social media website X was booked for claiming there is a bomb threat to Lucknow-Dammam flight last week. Multiple Indigo flights received bomb threats on Sunday. An account on X claimed that 12 bombers were on 6 Indigo planes that received the bomb threats. Airport authorities are on alert. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's take a break at this point. When we return, we are turning to one of our exclusive newsmakers tonight. Sakshi Malik has come out with a new book, Witness, to bear her story on how she was harassed by Brij Bhushan Saran Singh. She speaks on it when we return. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
Pure Wash Electronic Seat by Kohler. Wish everything was this intelligent.
Ho ja rangila re with Motorola's incredible range of smartphones.
Hello, Moto.
Sveda by Kohler. Wish everything cared for your skin.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Colors by Kohler. Makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते, बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की। ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है। मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।
Ho ja rangila re with Motorola's incredible range of smartphones.
Hello, Moto.
Colors by Kohler. Makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
$1 million question: will there be a bilateral between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping here at Kazan in Russia? The stage looks set. India has just announced complete disengagement from the remaining 2 friction points, that's Depsang and Demchok in eastern Ladakh. Remember, both Depsang and Demchok are said to be legacy issues where India and China remained in a deadlock. Once from 2020 and till now, but even earlier, these were very serious friction points. But there has been a pullback, there has been disengagement that's been completed. It's confirmed by India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and also by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. But how does this translate into situation on ground? We have strategic affairs experts and analysts and officers